trillions being poured in are almost like a drug for these markets. There's a new high after every announcement.
Yeah, sure is, Pete. And I mean, look, market's up another 1% last night in the United States. That's a pretty decent jump. And even our market here is going to set new all-time records today. It'll be up by around about 0.7%. So it's interesting to consider that only in the past week, when the US Federal Reserve said it was thinking about actually, raising interest rates next year, the markets all fell. Whereas this week, when there's another $1 trillion going in, and in this case into infrastructure. So one of the big criticisms in the US over a very long period of time has been about the quality of bridges and the quality of airports, the quality of railway tracks in America, and there have been some significant accidents there as well. So Joe Biden last night got bipartisan support. This is the important side of this, bipartisan support for this. Let's just pick up a little of what he had to say at his press conference.
There's not a single thing beyond our capacity that we aren't able to do when we do it together. I know a lot of you in the press particularly doubt that unity is possible, that anything bipartisan is possible. It's hard, but it's necessary, and it can get done.
So Joe Biden there, and that's important part about that, Pete, of course, is that it was bipartisan, so it will go through. So the money is again going into the economy. So no surprise here. It was construction companies last night and infrastructure companies that really were setting the market on fire.
Well, one of those companies rocketing on the US markets last night, Microsoft, Ross. It became the second company in US history to close with a market value of more than $2 trillion.
$2 trillion. It is a massive amount of money, isn't it? The other one, of course, is Apple, which is the largest company in the United States. So Microsoft now has settled above that $2 trillion mark. Now, the interesting part about this is it came at the same time that Microsoft announced Windows 11 is about to be released as well. So this is another reason why Microsoft has been catapulted. Of course, many of Microsoft's users these days effectively subscribe to the software rather than actually buying the software as they would have in the past. This means effectively Microsoft has got almost like a pension-style income stream coming through. So let's go to Satya Nadella, who is the chief executive of Microsoft, just announcing this new release of software, which is coming very, very shortly for the users.
Windows is the stage for the world's creation. As a creator, every time you pick up a Windows device, it becomes a stage for your inspiration so you can dream big and create something profound and lasting. This is the first version of a new era of Windows. We're building for the next decade and beyond.
Well, here at home, Ross, more evidence that wages are rising faster than the government and the Reserve Bank predicted. But is that cause for any concern about interest rate rises? I know we were talking about this last week too. Very common questions out there.
So they're the official stats coming out showing about 1 in 5 companies is right now saying they can't find enough workers. And a whole bunch of companies are now saying that they're really only working at 70% capacity because they can't expand because there's no workers out there. A range of others are saying that they actually, need to increase wages at the moment. Now, the panacea for this is open international borders, of course. That's the idea. Yeah. And that's the reason why the Reserve Bank's going to look straight through this. Have a little look, though. There's a little chart that was reproduced out of those numbers. And you can see here that in all sorts of areas, doesn't matter whether it's in small business or whether it's large business, medium-sized business, they're all basically saying that they're having difficulty finding suitable staff. So the second part about this is if you're having difficulty, and of course if a staff member considers leaving, the very first thing you've got to do is potentially offer them more money to stay because it's so difficult to try and find somebody who is already qualified and knows your business. That's one of the keys, and that's another reason why there's going to be continued pressure on the government to open those international borders.
Are we going to end on a high today, Ross, with the stock market?
We will. No doubt about that. There's your good news for the day. Go out with a spring in your step. Market's going to be higher.
No, I love that.
Aussie dollar's hanging out there, so a bit more wealth sitting out there in Australia's economy.